to go ahead and jump in here. We still have people joining, but I pulled a fast one on you guys today. I'm sorry about that, but I think that you'll actually you'll be happy with with what I did. Heather Kane is not coming today because she is in Naples. She is where they are preparing for the storm, and it just didn't make sense to add more stress to her day. So we're going to put her in a future month. And instead today I have Drew with us.
Oh, yay.
Yay. How do we pin him, Kristen?
Put a pin in me.
He's already pinned.
All right, there he is. There he is. So here is my friend Drew. I had the luxury of meeting Drew at Mega Camp a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
And I actually got to have dinner with him, and we had cocktails, and so we had a great time getting to know each other. So that was really fun. So I thought he would be a great person to bring on. I appreciate him greatly for doing the last minute switcheroo with us, with Heather here. So thank you so much, Drew, for being here.
No problem. You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to help out. We're helping out in a lot of ways down here in Florida. So we have Heidi Joy that, if any of you know her, headed out our way towards Rosemary Beach 2 days ago. So she's going to stay here through the storm. Julia, Shelley, everybody else here that's in Florida. I can't see everybody, but just, my prayers and my team's prayers are with you. We will get through this. Florida, this is not the first hurricane that Florida has seen. It does look ugly, and all there is to do is take the next step. So if you need anything, reach out, and don't hesitate to let me know if you need a place to stay. Although it's fall break, the property managers around here do have some properties that aren't rented, and we can, get you a spot to get you out of the storm.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate that. And for those who don't know Drew, which I think a lot of you probably do, because I do believe you were on the big stage at Mega Camp. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was part of the Luxury Forum panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So most everybody here knows you, but we probably have a few people on here that are not KW, which is awesome. Love to have some other brokerages on here, which is great. Drew is both in San Diego and also in Rosemary Beach, which luckily Rosemary Beach is not in the track of the hurricane this time. So he is graciously helping other people that are, and it's amazing because they're close by, but having a very different experience. So thank you for, So thanks for for doing that. So Drew, tell us a little bit about your background. Like, how did you start? How did you get into real estate?
That's a funny story.
I love funny stories. Bring them on.
I'll keep it quick. So I moved to San Diego, California when I was 23 or 24 years old. I had no money and knew nobody. And it was on a whim, like a bartender told me, hey, you should move to San Diego. It's beautiful. I said, that sounds good. Let's go. So I went there and got a job in commercial real estate, which was just not my cup of tea, not my people. And 4 years later, found myself out of work, sitting on the sofa with my now husband, and lamenting, like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And he said, well, you have your real estate license, don't you? I said, yes. He said, why don't you go sell some houses? And that was kind of it. I mean, it really was that simple. Interviewed with a couple local folks that he knew, found a great mentor, worked at a boutique brokerage for 10 years, and the prophecy kind of fulfilled, I guess. It's still a little surreal, the whole thing.
Do you still some days feel like I just started this? Like this is, I just kind of happened into this and here I am.
Yeah. Less that I just started it and more that, has it been that long? Because I'm still having fun and I'm still learning and failing and succeeding and like doing all the things. So
I love that.
cool.
So let's stay there for a second. Let's stay there. You're still having fun. Talk to us about that, because I think that especially in the market that we're in right now, we're hearing from so many people, the burnout, I'm stressed, I'm this, I'm that. So it's really refreshing to hear you say, I'm still having fun. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, so with candor and honesty, the fun comes along with the burnout. It's all in the same conversation. I don't think any of us are ever going to avoid that. Being in business comes with good days and bad days. And anybody that would tell us anything otherwise, I think is smoking something that's a lot stronger than the stuff that I smoke. And so, I would say that my fun comes from being very intentional about being sure that I have time scheduled to have fun, and really just having a bit of a revelation about my habits and making sure that I'm prioritizing my faith, my relationship with my husband, our friends, putting time in my schedule to go and do things like working out and playing tennis, even though I'm terrible at it. And most of my fun, this may be a bit of a limiting statement, but I'll just say it. Most of my fun is with my team.
Oh,
I've selected really great talent, and they're cool. They're nerdy just like me, but cool enough to have fun. And it's been a great ride. So anytime I can spend time with them, which is most of my day during the day, whether I'm on Zoom calls with the West Coast or I'm meeting with my new team member here in Rosemary Beach, it's fun. I love it.
I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is that team culture is super important.
Yeah.
It's not about just producing. It's about having a relationship and everybody getting along and enjoying each other.
Yeah. And I would say culture is, this sounds so cliche, but it really is the only thing, because it's the thing that everything sits on top of. And I'll admit that for the first, I started the team back in 2019. So however long ago that was, whatever, right? 6 years or so. And for the first 4 years or so, my credo of relationships first, then real estate devolved into me trying to please everybody and having a culture of we're all friends and it's all about that. And there was no standard for performance. That was exhausting and did a lot of negative effects on me personally. And a lot of negative effects on the relationships that I had with the team members. But now why I said what I said, Sandra, is because I think that culture is so important. You have to be very clear about A, the kind of relationships that you want to have, and B, the standards that you're going to hold people to, whether they're behavioral standards, whether they're values that we want to all espouse, or whether it's a performance standard. It's all got to be there and it's all got to be codified and everybody's got to agree on it. And if it's not going to be that, it's, from my personal experience, going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head there about having boundaries, creating your schedule that includes personal and work. Talk to us a little bit about how you blend the two.
Blend the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing I'll say is that over 15 years, it's been a lot of mining relationships to create clients. I started as a Buffini guy. If any of you have taken Brian Buffini's 100 Days to Greatness, I did the original iteration of that, and I was just a total nerd about it. So the whole business became about how can I create really strong connections with people and then be bold enough to ask them for business. I never was into farming. I never did it. Thank God I know you now, Sandra, because now I actually have a really great strategy that we're about to execute in a couple different markets.
Yay, I can't wait to hear how it works.
Oh, me too, me too. Because I think all these things go together, but to answer your question, like blending, I think your question was fun and business. Yeah. Or like having both those worlds collide. I think at first my business was all about that I had to be friends with everybody. Like all of the clients had to be my friends. That was exhausting and almost killed me.
Mhm.
And now, so I flew back to California last week, had the quarterly meeting with the California team, and just scheduled a really impromptu social event. And I had a list of 30 people that I could text who have all referred me a bunch of business, who also happen to be people that I really love.
Mhm.
Even the ones that have referred me a bunch of business, they just don't get the social invitations anymore. I'm just really selective with who I give my personal time to, because my energy is what's most important to me. It's the most important commodity that I have. And we all know that there's people that give us energy and people that take energy away from us. So I hope that answers
Yeah.
the question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love that you talk about energy, because that absolutely is true. I know for me, there's people that just drain you, and then you don't want to see anybody, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you are, you're really in touch with that emotional side of, well, how are people making me feel? And narrowing it down to those people that lift you up, instead of people that will drag you down, regardless of how much they are potentially producing for you. You are being selective so that you can keep your energy up.
Yeah. Yeah. How do
Yeah.
you do it? Do you mind if I ask you the same question?
How do
I know this isn't an interview of you. I kind of threw
right?
it back
Wait a
on
minute,
you.
what's happening? I think that for me, it's still fun. I love watching my agents grow, to take somebody who's brand new in the industry and watch them close 10 million in, the first or second year. Like, that gives me energy.
Yeah.
I think the other thing for me also is a lot of education and training, and pouring into others. That really helps me stay excited about what I'm doing.
Good call. Good call. I love that you said that too. Yeah. It's like once you get through the doing all the deals, it becomes about giving that skill away to other people and helping other people fulfill their goals,
Mhm.
which, I mean, it's not like I was born a saint or something and was just thinking like, oh, I'm going to live this egalitarian life for everybody else. But it's really rewarding
Mhm.
having their goals get fulfilled, and then in the process mine do as well. Oh, fun. We're going to have drilling in the next room. So if you can hear the drilling in the next room, we've got some repairs going on.
Okay, no problem. We're
Last minute
realtors. We
scheduling. Let me
we
know.
know how to do this, right?
Okay, good. All right, great.
All good. So far, we don't hear anything yet. Oh, now we did.
There it is. Okay.
No
What else
worries.
you
No
want to talk
worries.
about?
Yeah, so, just touch on the farming thing for a minute. I know you haven't started it yet. Drew and I, after Mega Camp, had a conversation. We jumped on a call to talk about farming, because that's really a big thing in my business, both on the luxury side and the non-luxury side. So just touch a little bit on, like, why did you decide that that was a path you wanted to go down?
So I'll reference what I said a moment ago. There came a point where, we'll just give the drill a moment. There came a point where like my personal energy level started to get spread way too thin. And the way that we were creating all of the business was having conversations on the phone and in person and popping by and doing all of the things that there are to create relationships, group events and small events and all the things with all these people that we're really close with. But then there comes a point where once you're really working a database really well and you're getting a regular conversion of transactions out of that. Although anybody can tell you, well, you can do different things with the same database. You can turn this knob, you can tweak this, you can do all that. If you're not adding new people to the database from a fresh source, you don't have much more to go on for new transactions. So when that light bulb came on for me, and by the way, this goes to show you really are learning. I mean, it was in that conversation that we had after our dinner when you got together with me and we were talking through all this that I saw that that's actually why I needed to have been doing this for so long. And I saw the missed opportunity because we've got a database of 3,300 people, of which 3,000 of them know us. Most people's database are maybe like, the other way around in terms of a percentage. So 3,300 people, 3,000 know us. I think the number of people who've referred us is at 500 or so. The number of people who've referred us multiple transactions is at 110 or so. So we've got all that, but like, what about a spigot for new people that we can work on and that the team can work on? So, it also became that, like, how do you create opportunity for a team when you've got referral partners that are reliable for generating 60 transactions a year, and you want to bring on more agents, and they're only going to generate so much business on their own. Yeah.
So what I love about what you're saying is that you run a successful business. You run a successful business in 2 locations. You've got things that are working. You've got a system, you've got a process. However, you're still willing to learn. You're always wanting to, like, what's next? What's next? Rather than, oh, I've got my system, we're going to stick with this. You are open to hearing a new way of doing things or a different way of doing things and putting in the work to put it together. So I love that about you. A lot of people kind of get stuck in their ways, especially you've been doing this, 15 years now, right? So it's hard. It's hard to shift and change and do things differently, but
Yeah.
you're, open arms, asking for the change.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that one of the things that I love about this business is that there's always so many new opportunities. And one of the things I hate about this business is that there's always so many new opportunities. And I spent about the first, 13 years of my career being very, I'll say, scattershot and very in that shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, here's a new solution, and evaluating them and always coming back to the core, which thank God I did that, because I think that's the only reason why I still have any money in my bank account. But now I find myself at this really interesting place where it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing with this bi-coastal thing. Literally no idea. I have no idea how to execute it well. And I had to put myself around people that knew how to do it. So for sure, I think that the worst thing that anybody can try to do is figure it out on their own. It's just, that's one of the reasons why, not to be a bit of a KW devotee, but like, because I know we have other brokerages on the call, that's the reason why I selected KW, because I knew that I could find somebody that had done the model that I wanted to do, and I knew that they would be willing to just share it with me and mentor me on it. And that's been priceless, because I'm not a crazy person right now.
I totally agree with you, Drew. I think that Keller Williams, that's what we breed, right? We breed the culture that we're going to help each other. I mean, you and I, we met over dinner, and 2 hours later, we're setting up a time to, I dumped all of my, what do I do that's successful? And I gave it all.
You literally gave me everything. You gave me everything. Nothing and no one left out. I was like, well, wait a minute. Okay, so what about that? And like every single detail. And you handed me your entire business plan, essentially. Yeah, I understand that there's exceptions to the rule, but I love that our company really is a culture where that's very pervasive.
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about how you are managing the 2 worlds. Is there anything in particular that you want to share that you think, or even just tell us the challenges? We've probably got some people on the call that have thought about doing expansion, and maybe your experience could help them make a decision one way or the other.
For sure, yeah. I would say if I were to rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10 for how I'm managing this, I would say it's a 4 at best. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist and probably my own worst critic. My team in California would say that I'm knocking it out of the park. And I think that we went through a real strife when I first did this. So just so that everybody understands, so I didn't do a typical expansion where you've got your home market and then you create an expansion hub in another market, and you stay in your home market, and you designate somebody to lead the expansion. This expansion was born out of my own personal want to move to Florida and to live a life in Florida, for a number of reasons. A lot of family here, better lifestyle, lower stress level, all of that, except for when the hurricanes come. Anyways, so I live in Florida and run the main business in California, which currently comprises 95% of our database and 95% of our revenue. And the goal is over the next 3 years to move it to where I have a business here in Florida that's either equal to or greater than the business in California. Tell me what else you wanted to know about that. So how am I managing it?
Yeah, how are you managing the team back there and building in Florida at the same time?
A lot of this. So a lot of this. So our structure with the team, it was a little bit all over the place, and it had to get real rigorous.
Okay.
And it had to work for me. I, again, was one of those people who was a people pleaser and said, oh, well, great. Okay, so now we've got, the kids are out of school, so we should adjust the call times to this, and we should do that. Not that I've got it, I've made plenty of accommodations for my agents because almost all of them have kids. And at the same time, we just had to get very rigorous about the schedules. So we have a Monday meeting that is about what actually happened in the business last week, leads, appointments, signings, open escrows, closings on the listings and the buyer side. We collect that data. We have everybody state that data so that everybody on the team is clear about what they did last week. On Tuesday, we have a conversation for skill development and a team-wide power hour that I participate in by Zoom.
Does that include role playing?
It does. It does. And we're actually doing a role play workshop based on Phil Jones's exactly what to say. We're selecting a few sets of magic phrases, magic words, and then doing some role play on that. And then they go and do the power hour and apply that directly to the power hour. And the goal is they come back the following Tuesday reporting on where they applied the magic words and won. Everybody has to come back on Tuesday with a win that they can share about from the magic words. That's a requirement, it's a standard.
I love that.
And I never was like that before. It was just like, yeah, great, let's just go out and do things. Let's just go sell real estate. No. The only way to continue to add value, maintain the culture, and create a standard and have my leadership make a difference, I've found, is to set an example and hold them to the standard that I want. Because ultimately they end up earning more that way. Their income is higher. Everybody's happier.
Right.
And then, we have another conversation on Friday. I'm back in California once a month. Initially, I will say for anybody that was considering this, initially it's a lot of travel because the team, they have a need to be with me. I'm kind of weaning them off of my physical presence slowly. By the way, that's just the way that it's not like me. It's like if you have anybody that you're in close relationships and all of a sudden you take them physically away, it's different. It's different. So I had to just get really responsible for that. But we're going to once a quarter. That's like where we're going, and we're going to get there by the second quarter next year.
Excellent. So actually you're adding more craziness to your life, and your schedule actually is making you be a better leader. It's making you be more scheduled and planned. And that way the agents also know like what to expect on what day and what your standards are. Can you share with us a little bit about what those standards are?
Sure. So we have a variety of different standards. One of the standards is everybody is setting 2 appointments a week. And we used to have a whole bunch. We got a little bit of a echo.
Yeah.
As long as that's not bothering anybody else, it's fine.
Oh, we got it. We got it. We muted.
So while at the beginning of the year, we set goals and targets for leads, appointments, signed listings and buyers, open escrows and closings, that's a lot to manage. Became a little bit overwhelming. So now the standard is set 2 appointments. 2 appointments per week
Per
per
week.
agent. 2 appointments, bona fide, listing, and buyer consultations. We're able to do that because our team, I mean, you know, again, it continues to surprise me. We have an incredibly strong conversion ratio. Typically, we sign 80 to 90% of the people that we meet with.
That's great.
90% on the list side, 80% on the buy side, because again, there's always that sort of reticence.
Yeah.
So the buyer broker agreement actually was a really great thing for us because now we have a real bona fide signing. It's not this nebulous thing. That's the standard. It's 2 appointments. And then we have a team-wide standard, which is somebody on the team has to sign a listing every week. That's the standard. Okay. It's me, it's an agent, it's somebody. And if it's me 4 weeks in a row, I don't count anymore. They've all got listings.
Say that again, I missed it.
They've all got to bring listings.
Right. And so what is, okay, let's start with, they didn't set 2 appointments in the week. What happens?
They didn't set, so they're called out in front of everybody, not called out, but
there's a conversation.
There's an obvious pressure. And by the way, we have a scoreboard that we track all of this very visually on the screen. It's one of the good things about doing meetings by Zoom is you can put the stats right up on the screen.
Love it.
2 weeks in a row that happens. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? 3 weeks in a row, we have a one-on-one conversation. 4 weeks in a row, it's like, are we an agent on this team or not? Because 4 weeks in a row not hitting the standard, that's a challenge. And I'll back up for a moment because I used to not have a plan for how to deal with that. Recently, I got trained in this, so I can share. It's worked brilliantly. So at 2 weeks in a row, with not hitting the standard, there's a conversation for, okay, what's missing? Is it the mindset? Is it the skill set? Or is it the activities? It's always one of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have a one-on-one conversation with the agent about that. Or we'll even do it as a group. Oftentimes the team just dives in right now and says, so what's happening here? Are you doing the activities? Are you having the conversations? Are you messed up in the head because your husband's doing da-da-da-da at home? Like, whatever.
So what I think you're saying is your team members are actually helping lead your team. So they're actually jumping in and supporting each other.
Yeah. And I am very blessed that is the case. I'm very, very blessed. They definitely self-manage and manage one another and correct one another and coach one another.
That's a true team. That's good. That's team culture.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do want each other to win.
That's great. So where did you get the training from, if anybody wants to know?
Brady Sandall.
I love it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I know. He was, because see what happens is, so I go to Brady and I complain about something. He's like, okay. And he listens to me for about a half a second. And he just turns it right back on me. So what's the conversation that you're having with them, Drew? And he's like, well, and then at one point or another, like my performance was failing too. It's like, okay, so let's look at your mindset. Like, okay, I'm being a jackass. So that's good. So I should correct that. Let's look at your activities. Schedule's been a little bit overloaded. Have not actually had the 30 conversations a week I need to have. Let's look at your skill set. Sharp. Great. Okay, good. So we got to go to work on those 2. And I think it's a really easy conversation once you train the team in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's those 3 things. And then they can self-correct.
Right. So you're no longer looking at how many calls did you make or how many things did you do? Are you just looking at, you set 2 appointments?
We track all of that. We do, just for the sake of posterity, but it's not what we examine. when they miss the call target, I don't care. Are they setting the appointments?
Mhm.
That's really the only thing that we care about. And I did manage the number of calls for a long time, and I think that that's a valuable thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but this is the brilliant thing that I figured out, or I should say that I got trained in. You know, they're paid and we earn money on appointments, listings, or signed agreements and open escrows. We're not paid for the number of calls that they make.
Mhm.
So when you get people focused on a number of conversations and that's the only goal, yes, that feels good because they get to check the box like, oh, I did the thing, but we're focused on the wrong thing.
Mhm.
And like my newer agents, you have to do that because you've got to get the training wheels on and you got to have them have a feel good win, all that. Like it's got to be about more than did you schedule an appointment.
Right,
So
because their skill set may not be there yet, and now they're gonna lose, for 5 weeks, and then they're gonna be crushed. So the newer agents, they need more granular.
exactly. Yep.
I like it. Now, what about the agent? And maybe you don't have this situation, but an agent that maybe has been with you for, 5 years and should be doing more than 2 appointments a week. Do you still only talk about 2 in the group?
We talk about 2 universally. We just talk about 2 universally.
Okay.
Because it makes it simple.
Okay.
And then if an agent has a higher performance and production goal, then we go with that. But if an agent's having 2 appointments a week and really legitimately having 2 appointments a week at an 80 or 90% conversion rate, that means in theory, they're signing 2 clients every single week. It's 8 clients a month. If they're able to close 4 of those, that's 4 closings a month. So you can see like if they're legitimately setting 2 appointments a week, there's not a need for any more. It's just that mostly they don't. We're in a constant state of correcting their performance around that. And then that keeps it easy so that you're not managing different personalities, different goal levels. It's like we're all aligned around the team goal.
I love it. So this is kind of fun. We haven't on my Zooms, the topics always kind of change a little bit from week to week, person to person. I try not to be like just asking the same questions over and over. So this is kind of fun. We haven't done this before, having the conversations about managing other people.
Sure.
So I appreciate you going in here. Somebody did ask, what are you using for the scorecard? Is it just an Excel spreadsheet or what is that?
Admittedly, it's just an Excel spreadsheet.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, it's just so simple and at the same time archaic. I did make the team a promise at this last quarterly that we were going to create a visual dashboard. So my VA team is working on that right now because I mean, it's nonsense. You log in and like, unless you're a mathematician, you can't like interpret it. It's just a lot of data. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So tell us, we're not yet into farming, but we're going to be into farming and you're going to crush it. So tell us what would be like, what you think is the most important thing that you do in your business that keeps you at the level that you're at and growing.
Events.
Oh, I love that. Not that many people, that's their one thing.
Yeah. And oh man, like if I recharacterize it through the lens of the one thing, I don't know that I would say it's events, but I think events is what is ringing the bell right now because it's what works given my lifestyle. When I go back, if I'm able to see 20, 30 people in a day and get that face-to-face connection, it's just really important for the business given my lack of physical presence. But I would say beyond that, the one thing is a religious and even fanatical devotion to a power hour every morning. And you've got to have 10 conversations by phone every day. Like every day, you got to have 10 conversations, even if it's just a quick, like, hey, how's it going? Da 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 da. can we talk later?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's
gotta
an
be-
actual conversation. That's not, I dialed 10 times. It's, I actually spoke to
Correct.
somebody.
10 conversations. By the way, I also, in the world of what we count conversations that are, I left a voicemail, they got back by text. We had a meaningful exchange that wasn't like, hey, how's it going? Nah, nah, nah. But there was a meaningful exchange about, have you heard about that interest rates or have you heard that la la la? Some kind of real estate information exchange.
Love that. Love that. And are the agents themselves plugging that into your scorecard? Like they're self-reporting?
They are, yeah. Oh, that's good. So we do have a very robust CRM. We use Follow Up Boss. So in
So do
terms of
I.
what they're doing on a daily, weekly, all that, like that's in there. But then we have some additional tracking that we do because we haven't found Follow Up Boss to be super adequate in tracking
Yeah,
like
I agree.
if you divide listings and buyers and then you want to know the leads, this guy, like all that in the conversion ratios, it's just not enough. So
Yep.
yeah, when
I
you're
agree with you.
like me.
So I'm sorry, we kind of like, we jumped backwards, but
Sure.
you gave me a little nugget. I had to jump back there.
That's
But
okay.
I want to go back to the events because I loved something that you said. You said, given my lifestyle, it's the most effective thing I can do. And I love that because I feel like a lot of people try to do things that they do it because other people do it or because other people are good at it. And whenever I'm on a panel or anything, they always ask, what's the one thing people should do? And my answer is always whatever they're best at and that they're going to actually do and fits well within their personality and their life. So I love that you said that. It makes perfect sense. And it's kind of like narrowing down the noise, right? Like getting rid of the noise, the things that you're doing that really don't produce anything, or that it's just too hard given your new location.
Right. I think the I always get one thing out of everything I go to. And in Mega Agent Camp, this last one, Gary Keller said, if you're not in love with what you're doing for lead generation, you need to find a new thing to do for lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that completely changed my life. It was, and I know I'm sounding like a little bit of a devotee, but it was just very freeing to say, oh, well, what I love to do for lead generation is I love throwing events. Team puts it on. I show up. I get to shake the hands, kiss the babies, and it's like, bye-bye, I'm out. It's great. It's my favorite thing to do. Love it. I don't love doing videos on social media. I don't
Mm-hmm.
love any kind of cold marketing or mass market. Like I don't love that. So I'm not going to personally focus my time on it. We are as a business going to start to deploy some of the more very effective farming strategies that you've given us. So yeah.
Yeah, and the great thing about farming is that you can use it the way that it'll fit into your life. You're not having to be there every day and you're creating a pipeline of people coming to you.
So good. So good. That yes, more of that.
I love that. I don't know why all these AI note takers are saying it's quiet.
They're like,
Everybody can
it's
hear
quiet
us,
in
right?
here. Are you done? No.
They keep yelling at us like, stop, note taker.
All right.
Sorry about that. Don't know what's going on there, but
It's
anyways.
fine.
So at this point, I want to open it up to questions from the audience. So what do we have here? Oh, Barbara, thank you for telling us you can hear us. It's just the AI people can't hear us, I guess.
Yeah, don't listen
Uh,
to takers.
Oh my gosh, there's 84 people here. That's crazy. You have quite the following, Sandra.
Yeah, and at one point we were at 98. So, people, they jump in and jump out. So it's all good. It's all good. All right, what do we have for questions? You guys can raise your hands. I'll go through the chat here. What do you guys got for him? You know what? One thing we didn't talk too much about, I know you mentioned Phil Jones, and I listened to, you did a training with Bob and Paige's team.
Right. Yeah.
right? And I watched the video. They shared the
Oh,
video
you
with
did?
me. Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh, he is a great Phil Jones. Like you have incorporated that. Um, and it's just refreshing to hear, you know, you have a great, you know, way of speaking to people and getting your point across without being aggressive. So I love that.
Well, I appreciate that you say that. I have to, that's one thing that I have to actively work at every day is how can I be really effective and ask questions and be related and not occur as my default, which I will be man enough to admit is like arrogant. You know, if I'm not careful, my confidence can come across as arrogance. And so like I really have to work hard at just like eating a lot of humble pie and being like, wait, like I'm a very imperfect human being. I actually don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm not, I'm not saying I know more than you. I know a few things about this, right?
I,
So I
I
appreciate it.
really appreciate how humble you are. And, you know, you say that it can come across that way, and it's amazing that you acknowledge that of yourself, because most people, they don't know that, or they don't acknowledge it. And I think you came across very genuine in that training that you did. So you're doing a great job.
Awesome. Love that.
I have a
Okay.
question. I have a question for Drew. I didn't quite hear the name of the CRM that you're using, Drew.
Oh, hey, Joan. Hi, Joan.
Hey.
Nice to
Hi.
meet you. Yeah, it's Follow Up Boss.
It's called Follow Up.
Follow Up Boss. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
And you tried others and you landed on this because it's the best you could find?
That's a good question. So I landed on this because my mentor told me to stop mucking around and select something that was proven. And
Okay.
he used and uses Follow Up Boss, and I just said easy button, done. Yeah.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Very helpful. So
Yeah,
you're
you're
a
welcome.
team leader. I missed the very beginning. You're a team leader. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All good. Thanks.
You're
And
welcome.
Joan, we
Sure.
use Follow Up Boss too. We
Okay.
love it. Yeah, we love it. We've been using it for about 8 years.
So it's easy to transition from the CRM that we're using on KW to the Follow Up
Well,
Boss.
I'm not going to say any transition from a CRM to a CRM is easy. However, Follow Up Boss is quite intuitive, and it is easy to use. Once you're
Okay.
in there, the transition over is can be a little challenging.
Aren't they owned
Oh,
by
yeah.
Zillow?
That is correct.
Yes, they
Oh, it's
are.
owned by Zillow.
Yeah.
So do you feel that your contacts are at risk?
No, this is I had the same concern. And then I saw something. I said, okay, so Zillow's artificial intelligence and the resources that they have access to are massive. The amount of leads that they have are massive. My little piddly database of 3,300 people is microscopic and not even on their radar.
Mhm.
So I choose to believe that and be empowered by that. And, you know, by the way, like if you're running a good business with your database, your people aren't going to bail on you. And if you have like, let's say 0.5% attrition because
True.
the club is selling your leads without you knowing it, well, 0.5%, I can live with that.
But you feel that the attributes that it provides you with Follow Up Boss is well worth it. Like it kind of drills down and is very user friendly.
100%, 100%.
Okay.
So Drew, somebody is asking, what do you tell your team and in recruitment, what is your best value? Like, what is your value proposition?
So I share with them that my role and my job is to build a world that's big enough that they never have to leave. And I just ask them, what's their income goal? And they tell me whatever it is. And then we break down how they can fulfill that. And I keep the conversation really simple. And then when I'm done with the conversation, I say, you see that conversation? That's my value proposition.
Ooh, you just gave me the chills.
What is
Yeah. And you know, it wasn't always that. It was a lot of dog and pony show for a long time. But then I really got that like my core skill is coaching people. And and having them be trained to coach their clients as a result. So I train them in different conversational models that they then can use with their clients. And so they can see the effect that it has on them and the effect that it'll have on their clients. So it's training in conversations and conversational models. Yeah. Does that
I love
help?
that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And
I
I think what I heard you say is you are also building leaders.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're not just telling them how to go fish. You're teaching them how to fish. You're teaching
Yeah.
them how to go to that next level.
It's really good. Yeah. One of our standards, which isn't a numerical standard, is that everybody always shows up to lead the conversation. Nobody's a passive participant ever, in our team meetings and in their conversations with their clients. And it trains them how to show up to lead every time so that they're on and not like waiting for me to deliver something.
What does that look like?
So we arrived to a conversation and we're here on a Zoom and there's 5 of us and everybody's on camera. And, I say, okay, great. So who has something to share in gratitude from the last week? And one person shares, and then the other 3 of them or 5 of them or how many are on the call, sit there and wait. And I say, and then there's like silence. And I said, so are you guys waiting for me to deliver something to you? And then all of a sudden they're like back in it and like back up on it because they remember that those moments of me training them are putting them in a position to be effective in an appointment. Yeah.
Drew, I'm getting so many good nuggets today.
Good. I'm glad. I
Love
get
it.
so many from you. So if I can share and make a difference, it's great.
Absolutely, you are. You are.
how can I
Uh,
raise my hand?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're talking.
Yes, okay, good. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. Regarding the prior question from one of your participants, regarding Zillow, as a matter of fact, I had a demo tomorrow, and I found out that they had purchased Follow Up Boss, and when I saw all the accesses I had to give them, the only thing I worried about, not about them stealing so much my clients, but I don't know if you've heard, at least in Florida, because I'm collaborating with somebody there. I'm in Puerto Rico, and I pay a lot of money for marketing with them. And what I'm worried, they started making these teams, okay, this in-house brokerage teams. And I was afraid with all that information, they're going to know how many clients we close, how many, all of this, that they can say, wow, this is a good market. Let's do our Zillow teams there. They've already taken like about 5 to 6 zip codes in Miami. So that was the only thing, and I really wanted to use it because it seems, I mean, since I use Zillow Premier Agent, it would have been so easy, because it's so friendly. So that was like my only concern, and I was wondering if maybe somebody else had another CRM that they can recommend that they like.
If you guys do have any, go ahead and just put it in the chat, and that way everybody can see what you put in there. Thanks for asking that question, and hopefully they'll give you some answers.
Okay,
And
thank you.
yeah, and Karen, I'm going to jump to you.
Unmute. Quick question. Drew, when you're just starting out in your farming, what do you find is your most effective way to roll it out?
Well, I won't say that I'm necessarily experienced enough to say what's the most effective way, but based on the plan that we're deploying and going to deploy that Sandra gave us, it's very simple. It's a written newsletter that goes out, period, once a month. There's no announcement. There's no, hey, here's who I am. It's like you hit the ground running as if you've been in the market forever. So the communication is designed to both capture attention. Sandra, by the way, this is like me trying to distill an hour down to 2 minutes. The communication is designed to both capture attention and introduce you as somebody who's relevant in the marketplace personally and professionally. And it's designed not to call out that this is a brand new thing. So it's just like you're just like we're all running along with the market, and then bam, the newsletter hits, and it's once a month.
Wonderful. Are you also sending postcards or just the newsletter?
The plan is to do maybe a postcard a quarter if we have an exceptional listing to share. But otherwise, we keep it to the newsletter because the cost model on that is so much better and so much more personal. Sandra, yes, love you. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I love it. Listen, there's been a lot of questions about farming, and what I'd be happy to do is, like, in between my monthly Zooms, I'll send out an invitation, and we'll do like a whole hour on farming. So I've got a whole presentation on that, and we can do that. So that'll be fun.
Thank you.
I'm looking to see, there's a few more questions in here, Drew. What are your favorite client events?
Okay. Favorite client events? The stop by, say hi, and grab your pie is still the most popular, the most longest running. I believe we're at the 10th annual iteration of that. And people love it. We do it on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Kelly drives to this really famous local pie shop out in Julian, brings back literally a van of pies. And we have everybody over between 3 and 7 o'clock. They stop by, say hi, and grab a pie. That's what the event is called. So we have the title be very instructional. So it's not like, oh, you're coming to a cocktail party and it's not like a drive-by. Like they can do anything that they want. It's my favorite because it's easy.
That's fun. About how many pies are you actually giving away each time?
About 120.
And is it in your office, at your house? Where are you doing it?
House, preferably. Now these days, because I've moved into a condominium in downtown, the house doesn't really accommodate it. So we're gonna rent a really spectacular property on the coast and do it there. Yeah.
So renting, maybe, is it a home that offers themselves out for events?
Vacation rental. And then, like my assistant just contacts them like, hey, we're not going to throw a rager. Here's what we do. We've been doing it every year for 10 years. We're going to have people drop by and pick up apple pies. Would that be okay with you? And they're like, yeah, because we're in and out the same day. So you don't really usually have to pay the excess cost, because if they don't have a booking, they probably got, anyways, extra details. Right?
And it's probably good for them, because now a whole bunch of people saw the place that, it's like free advertising for them.
Yeah.
Somebody asks, do you just do apple pie to keep it easy?
Yes. Do not offer options. One option. If you don't like apple pie, come and say hello. Somebody in your family will love apple pie. Maybe you don't love it, it's fine.
Right. Or you could give it away to somebody else, right? Your neighbor might like apple pie. Okay, I like that.
Exactly. I know. And I've had a couple clients go toe to toe with me on that. I'm like, if you want to drive to Julian, you can get your pie.
Yeah. Good for you. And I've heard of people doing multiple pies, and then, somebody takes the wrong pies, and then somebody's mad that they didn't get their pie. And it's like, it's a free pie. Just be thankful.
Yeah.
I did pies last year, a pie event, and I did have a drop off at my office, but we're up on the 5th floor and we did it in the lobby. And it was pretty good, but then a lot of people couldn't make it, and I offered to bring it to their homes. And it actually worked out really well, believe it or not. I mean, I didn't have that many to go to, but they were so excited to show me their new place, their new renovation, and it reconnected me, because then I get to be in their space. So it was really special, but it's hard to do right before the holiday. To go to everybody's home. But
that's great.
Yeah, maybe you could do that for certain people.
All right, couple more questions here, Drew. You had mentioned Monday, Tuesday, and Friday call. Do you actually do a call also on Wednesday and Thursday? with your team?
No,
No.
no. And we should.
And they asked why only those days? I feel like they're holding you accountable, Drew.
So there's like the politics of it. So, you know, only so much change like there's two ways to do things. You can either change everything all at once, or you can slow roll it. This is one of the areas where I've chosen to slow roll. We tried a daily call, did not have good buy-in, good participation. People, like, it wasn't providing value. So we went down to those 3 days. And frankly, now I don't have to be on a call and be like, hey, at 8 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday. So it's good for me too.
Right. Yeah, sometimes more is not more. Sometimes more
Right.
is less. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They also asked, are you doing a weekly one-on-one with the team, or how often are you doing a one-on-one?
Monthly.
I like
Monthly.
that. Okay.
And for a newer agent, counterintuitively, I'll do every other week. Because I feel like in those critical moments, you know, you're either going to take somebody from 2 transactions to 10 transactions in a year, or you're not. And if you're really going to make that kind of difference for somebody, you got to get in there in the weeds with them. So if you're going to select them to be on the team, you got to be willing to spend the time with them.
Yeah. Otherwise they start feeling lost and left out and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right. This might be the last question that we can get to, because we want to be respectful of your time, Drew. How do you keep morale up? I mean, we talked a little bit about you personally, but how about for your team? How do you keep your team's morale up and keeping them positive?
Well, one thing we do is we ask everyone to come to every conversation that we have prepared to share a win, either a business win or a personal win. I don't care how big it is, but they got to find a win. They got to find one. And I think it's just in that kind of a structure that they're forced to look at their life and examine where they're winning. And they stay present to where they're winning, even when it's small. I am probably the least motivational team leader you'll ever find. Like, you know, like motivation, you know, go listen to a podcast. I'll send you some recommendations. And we do have a Slack channel where I'll put, hey, I just listened to this podcast. If you need a boost, here you go. So I guess that's another structure that we provide. And most of my team, they vibe with the same kind of people that I vibe with. So that's good. Those are really the 2 structures that I have. And then we do a once a quarterly thing where we get together, we review the results, we complete where we failed, we celebrate where we won, and we do something really fun. And it's like, and it's extra. I took them to the Alila Morea, I think is how it's pronounced. It's so confusing. Beautiful property on the coast. It was a little bit of an extra spend for me, but you know, I figure if I'm asking them each to bring in 10 million to close 10 million in volume minimum, and you know, we're working towards getting a business where we've got 2 million in gross commissions, you know, I can do something special for them once a quarter. It's a good investment in them and in us.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, we have hit the 10 o'clock time. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to say thank you for all of the nuggets that I got. Hopefully everybody else got some good nuggets too. Thank you again for, you know, being a pinch hitter at the last minute here. Hopefully everything goes okay with everybody on the west coast of Florida. And guys, reach out if you need anything. We're here for you. And one last thing I just wanted to mention for anybody who's local, we're doing a Lux training certification with Michael LaFido November 14th. Drew, do you want to just tell them how to contact you if they have a referral for you, your email, your website, your phone number?
Absolutely. So I'll give you my so the best number for you to reach out to when you have a referral is 619-618-8255. 5716. That's my personal cell phone. That's not the follow-up boss number. That's my personal cell phone. Probably then I'm going to have somebody else follow up with you to do that intake process. If you can't reach me, you can also reach out to our Director of Client Services, 619-323-1011. Always a phone call is great. We want to have a conversation with you about the relationship that you have with the person, who they are, so that then when we have that first contact, it can be exceptional. Yeah.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And if you need anything, reach out. And oh, yep, she put the Lux event. If you want to check that out, see what it's about, she put it in the chat, and you can check it out. So thank you everybody for being here, and I will get something on the calendar for the farming training as well.
Thanks so
All
much
right.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew. All right, bye guys. See you at Luxury Symposium.
Thank
See you at
you.
Symposium, everybody.
Yeah.